Hi everyone, welcome to another online Reflection for Learning activity shared by the Reflection for Learning Circle. This self-assessment and discussion activity, which is called How Mindful Am I, can be used at numerous stages of a course to develop meta-awareness of people's preferred and default reflective styles, and also their areas for development. There's quite a number of options for running this activity, and I'm going to go through two options today. The first option is to create an online version of the quiz, and this would allow people to access the tools, so the actual 10 activities online, and then they would spend about 5 to 10 minutes completing the quiz, and then you might have about 20 minutes for discussion. And in the online tool, you would ask participants to rank the tools from 1 to 10 based on how often they use them. So this is one option and can be quite useful if you're happy to create your own online quiz. If you want to run it more simply, and that's what we're going to trial today, you could show a slide with the tools, and you could ask participants to read through the different tools and then respond to the questions. So that's what we're going to try today. So I'm going to ask my participants to have a read through, and as they're looking at those different tools, to think about which technique they might use quite often and how confident they are in using that technique, and maybe in what context. And then also maybe to think about what they use the least, or what they might never have heard of, or might want to know more about. So we can then use those questions to have a discussion. So I'm going to let you spend some time having a look at those, probably less time than you normally would because we're recording, and then we'll have a discussion. So everyone can keep reading, but if anyone's ready to share, I'd love to hear how you have either engaged with a technique or not, and any that you might want to have some more understanding, and perhaps others can share their thoughts. Would anyone like to start? Marina.
Obviously, a favourite one of mine, I say obviously for colleagues in the group, is to breathe mindfully. So using that at the beginning of a meeting or a class, a tutorial, a lecture, anything, is something that you can do very easily, collaboratively. Everybody can do it. It's a very inclusive activity. And we've got lots of ideas in our practice guide on how to do this simply. And people find it very effective. Like, it really does focus them and even calm people down. Probably the one that I use least successfully, or not as well, is number 5, limit reactivity, because people do comment that my face gives things away. I react very much with my emotions and things like that. And that is something that I need to work on. Thank you.
Thanks, Marina. And I think you're right, the breathe mindfully within the resources that we've been sharing, there's lots of examples of how we've done that. So thank you. Would anyone else like to share? Kath. And you're on mute, Kath.
Sorry.
It's okay.
So I think probably for me, Listen Deeply was the one that resonated most closely with what I try to practice daily and it comes back to what Marina was saying about the reactivity, especially in times when I want to respond or react to an emotional, something that triggers me emotionally. I have to be very careful about bringing myself back into a space where I can listen and really try to take on those different perspectives. So I think that nurturing mutual respect comes around that thing that I need to practice more in terms of where I don't agree with someone, and I really have to then work on allowing the space for someone else's perspective to come into it.
Thanks, Kath. Would anyone else like to share? Greg, and then Agnes.
Yeah, I think the one I use most is probably cultivate insight, out of that sort of Gendrinian tradition of listening to how you feel present. And I think the one I use least is probably express gratitude. I probably feel gratitude a lot more than I express it, I suspect. So yeah, I think there's some opportunities to be a bit, to help people know that I really appreciate what they're doing more.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we do often think it and then assume that people can read our thoughts. Agnes.
I'm attracted to the things that I find difficult. So things like listen deeply, limit reactivity, and express gratitude, I think are things that are all challenging. Each week I write a list of things I'm grateful for, and that's a really good reminder. Often they're quite small things, but it's lovely going back and looking at what I have written on that list over a whole year. In limit reactivity, I find it really useful to do a visualization. If I'm going into a difficult meeting, I imagine I'm a tree, so I'm firmly rooted in the ground. I can be buffeted around at the top, but I remain firmly rooted. I'm not going to topple.
I love that analogy. That's great. Thanks, Agnes. So is there any other sharing? I think, we could delve into those, any of those examples, and you could use this activity to really tease out whatever issues you want to use in the context that you're going to try this activity. So let us know how you go with this. And if you want to know more about this activity, you can go to our Reflection for Learning guide, which is available through the Advance HE website. And you can always let us know how you're going or ask any more questions by contacting us on the email address on the screen. Thank you very much.